Welcome everyone to WCU Entertainment Review. I'm your host Jimmy as usual, and this is Dylan. He's like the penny. He doesn't matter. Now Dylan, this week we have a bunch of topics on hand, and this is going to be, let's be honest, our lazy week. We didn't do any research. We just kind of threw this together at the wall, and here we go.
He says it's the lazy week, but that's actually how we normally operate.
Well, as long as it's not broken, let's not change it.
True that.
And we missed. So, we're going to be right back with you as we talk about video games. Now, Dylan, video games this week, you wanted to talk about a certain subject, so why don't you introduce it for once?
Okay, well, last week we talked about Ubisoft releasing Assassin's Creed Unity and how there was a lot of hype about that. Well, apparently their stocks just dropped from the game. I wonder why.
I don't know. Like, this game seems to be like kind of like one of those games where you think it was going to be great, the build-up was kind of good, but you see the visuals coming out, it looks rushed. Yeah,
there's just a lot of glitches, errors. The game does not work apparently for half the consoles.
I saw this picture on Facebook, and it just made me laugh. Like, literally, there's no face. It's just kind of like lines, like scribbled lines, eyeballs out of his head and a mouth. That's it.
Didn't you know that's like how France actually looked back in the day? That's historical. That is some historical accuracy.
I guess, but it was funny just because that with the hat on and just the eyes. But it's kind of weird because we have seen over the last probably about, what has it been, 6-7 years, two major game developers
just completely crashed.
Yeah. THQ and Midway. Some of the games behind me I think may be those games, but Midway, that's the Mortal Kombat game. That's what they got their bread and butter on, and then they ran out of money and they crashed. And then just a couple years later, THQ, they had a lot of problems in themselves.
Yeah, THQ was successful. They had a lot of properties. They had the motocross games. WWE, a lot of other big properties, and then they just completely crashed, just all of a sudden. I mean, they were doing financially good, then one or two bad business decisions, and they just are gone now.
And I really think what really happened with those games is, those companies is, their games kind of just start to slide. A couple games, were good. Like, you can depend on the WWE game, and you can depend on a couple other games, but when those games kind of don't do as well as you hope, the games that aren't as
they
good,
don't have cushioning.
They kind of hurt you.
Yeah.
And, I think with Ubisoft and Assassin's Creed, it's a popular series, but, at some point, these games need to give us more than what they did give us, because I feel like one of the biggest problems when games jump to a new system, it becomes, well, we can upgrade the graphics. Yeah, that's nice.
But if you don't change it enough to warrant the upgrade, then there's no point. And Ubisoft only has one moneymaker. That's Assassin's Creed. They need to make that work. They need to sell copies. And they can't afford a mistake like this. It's so bad that they're actually having an internal investigation of their company practices. But also something to mention, Far Cry 4 that's coming out soon also had a review embargo, just like Ubisoft's Assassin's Creed Unity, which is a very scary sign.
Yeah, I mean, hopefully they'll figure it out. I mean, Assassin's Creed I don't think is going to be broken anytime soon.
This isn't going to kill them, but it's dangerous signs.
It's a dangerous sign. It's something for them to get their head around. But we'll be right back with you with television. Now, Dylan, we have Erica joining us now, and what we're going to talk about now is The Simpsons. It's been on for 25 years now.
Yeah, 25, 26 years.
It's a big show. It basically took up 13 days of FX's television network this summer. And here's the thing, is it still funny? Because that's the complaint I always hear from fans, long and old. Is it still funny? And I've watched it since the 90s. I've gone back and I've watched all the other ones I missed when I was younger. I still find it funny. What about you, Dylan?
Well, I think The Simpsons is still as funny as the day I watched it, but I've noticed throughout the years that as I've grown older and, I've gotten more of the in-jokes and stuff like that, certain episodes have changed. I thought when I was a kid, some of my favorite episodes then aren't funny at all anymore, or I find boring, but episodes I hated, I'm thinking since I get the jokes, the references, and that kind of stuff, and I'm older and I understand the humor more, that it increases.
No, I just feel like with shows like that, it comes down to if you understand the humor, you're going to think it's funny, but if you don't, you're just going to think it's pointless. And also with shows like that, like you were saying, you kind of have to understand what's going on in the world to understand their jokes. So if you don't understand what's going on, or if you don't enjoy their humor, you're just not going to like it.
I mean, and I think I've kind of I've been watching it for a while, and when I rewatched a lot of them during that big marathon this summer, I realized the one thing I noticed from the show till now, like I watched some of the episodes when I was younger, like Dylan said, you do watch it now and you do realize some of those older episodes aren't as great as they get told to be, and some of the newer episodes aren't as bad as they get told to be. But as I watch it, I do really think a lot of it is nostalgia, and a lot of people, you see it with every form of entertainment.
If it's new, it's not good. That kind of idea.
No matter what, this era, like people, NBA, just a sport, for example, oh, these basketball players aren't as great as Michael Jordan. It's like Super Mario Brothers. You're never going to beat the Nintendo Super Mario Brothers, even if it's on the Wii. And, I think with The Simpsons, it's kind of the same thing. These older episodes, those are the episodes I grew up with. So that's the episodes that I like.
Well, I just feel like it comes down to everyone's a critic, so everyone's going to have something negative to say when it comes to a show like The Simpsons. But then when you watch it like years later, you're like, well, I guess it's not that bad.
I mean, it really, they're, 25 years now? And so,
well, there's at least 25 full seasons of The Simpsons. And then there was that time when they were that little skit back in the 80s.
On the Tracy Ullman show.
Tracy Ullman show.
I mean, but that's 25 years. So you're going to, no matter what, even if there is a decline, it's respectable. It's been 25 years.
You're going to go through those phases where you're going to have a good season, you're going to have a bad season.
It's an institution by this point. And there's been at least 3 generations who have watched it. Our parents, us, and then the generation following us, which I don't know if we've named yet.
The next generation.
Actually, it's called Generation Z.
Oh, is it?
Yeah.
Fun.
Is that a zombie generation?
I don't know.
That'd be so cool.
To be the thing these
but
days.
Probably. Give it time.
I do think, though, I don't think the quality is really fallen. I do think the best thing I like out of the show is, you still relate to the characters. They're still funny. There's times where they might do something different than what they used to do. But, these characters are changing. They're evolving.
Which is nice.
And sometimes, I still find it hilarious that earlier in the season they killed off Krusty's dad. And they told everybody, we're going to kill off a major character. I don't know if that's the character they were talking about, if that was a joke, that they were just saying that we're going to kill off someone major, and it's like this little minor character from, seasons earlier. That's funny to me. Where, they can still tick people off that easily just by messing with people.
And there was the death of the voice actress for Miss Krabappel.
Well, that's who they thought it was going to be.
Well, I think that's actually who the plan was originally, I think. But then she died.
I don't know if that's true or not, but it'll be interesting to see where the show goes. I mean, I really think it's still got legs to it.
It's gonna outlive us.
I feel like it's one of those shows that everyone knows all the characters, even if you've seen 1 or 2 episodes. When you watch it, you kind of know what's going to happen already because you know the characters so well that you go to watch it because it's something so familiar.
I agree, and so I think we're going to end on that, and we will be right back with movies. Now, guys, what we're going to talk about now with movies is we're going to talk about our favorite bad movies. And when I say bad, I mean movies that we know they just suck. But we can laugh at them, and we think they're funny. And I think the correct term is a guilty pleasure.
Yeah, guilty pleasure film. Now,
mine forever will be Batman and Robin. Because you have so many bad things going on at once. You have this weird thing where the director has them showing these up close shots of them in the bat suit, which you can see if you
everything.
It's there's no reason to show a bat butt, in my opinion. But if that's how you want to fly, go with it. But there's that. There's just the complete missing characters. Bane's just a big dumb,
strong steroid-induced soldier guy.
And my favorite thing is, and I know it's the most random part of it, but it's the Mr. Freeze part where he's in the ice cream lair and he has his henchmen singing the song Mr. Heat Miser.
Yeah, Mr. Frost.
Mr. Frost. No reason, just to do it. And it's just, there's so many things wrong about it. Probably my other second favorite is you have Alicia Silverstone comes in as Barbara Gordon. And she's supposed to be from England and has no accent. None. She's just sitting there talking and you're just but she's from England?
Jimmy, you need to chill out there.
It's just, Dylan, what's your favorite?
We need to put you on ice for a second there, buddy.
There's enough puns in that movie. You don't need to start it. What's
Okay,
your favorite?
my favorite guilty pleasure movie, and I'm going to get so much hate for this, is the Super Mario Brothers movie. I love that movie so much. I saw it with a kid. I just thought it was so fun, and you have the worst actors, the worst props, worst sets, worst everything, but it's like, oh, it's what would have actually never have been like if Super Mario was in real life.
And you have to kind of explain why you have a Mexican actor, John Leguizamo, and Bob Hoskins, a English actor, playing two Italian plumbers.
You mean they weren't Italian? Their acting was so accurate, a portrayal of the Mario Brothers.
And the funniest part is they call them the Mario Brothers in the movie, but they sit there and say their last name's Mario.
Yeah.
So,
I mean, honestly, I was not even aware that there was a movie about the Super Mario Brothers.
This
but
is for your own
it's a
good.
catch.
after hearing
It
about
is.
it, I feel like it's something I have to watch.
one of the main characters is just literally a sludge. It's a big mushroom sludge. For
Yeah,
some reason.
yeah. Instead of like, you know how there's mushrooms and stuff like that,
Yeah.
right? Instead of like, you know, there's little mushroom people, there's just this wad of fungus throughout the entire movie that fills a very. It's one of the major characters too. Fungus is a major character in that movie.
It's like
Just
Parallax.
goes to show.
It's like Parallax from Green Lantern. It's just, what were they thinking? But Erica, what's your favorite?
Hands down, my guilty pleasure movie is the original Spy Kids.
Oof.
I mean, I remember the first time I saw it, I was like, this is the best movie ever. I mean, first of all, you watch it and you're like, I want to be one of them. I want to be a Spy Kid. And still to this day, if you asked, like, my dream job, it would be to be a Spy Kid.
Yeah.
But then I watched it recently and I was like, this is not what I remember it to be. This is not.
And you're just like,
This is awful,
no,
but
no.
you know, I still like. I mean, if I could, I would watch all the movies all over again and still love it. But
Just put
As a
not
kid.
in a way. Like,
Yeah.
as a kid, loved them, but watching them now, I'm like, oh,
When you were watching, you were like, no, stop, please, no, childhood, don't leave me.
yes.
I
I
mean,
was very disappointed,
just to
but
put it in perspective, I remember watching that the same day I watched The Animal with Rob Schneider.
Oh my God, I remember that movie.
I thought Rob Schneider's Animal was the better movie. that puts it in perspective of how bad that movie is.
I mean, I feel like just when I watch it, I just remember like running around my house acting like I was
Yeah.
a Spy Kid afterwards. So I feel like watching it now, like I still enjoy it because it reminds me of my childhood.
I was a little older at the time, so
Yeah.
it probably helped why you liked it better.
Yeah, yeah.
When I watched the fourth one with Jessica Alba, I was like, this is god awful. This is awful.
Jessica
Why are
Alba
you
needed
here?
money.
That's
She needed money bad.
Yeah.
That's when you know someone's career is just kind of on the
When you go
downward
to
turn.
the- when they
just
when
show
they
up
offered
randomly.
to star in the fourth Spy Kids.
It's not even a spy. Like you start seeing this with a lot of these actors.
And just
where
really
they
bad
end up these
movies
really
and-
bad kids movies. And you're just like, I guess they needed work, but
Good for them. They're at least being shown.
I mean, I
Or
was.
like they had a contract and
Yeah.
they're like, okay,
Yeah.
you still have, you know.
That does happen though, where
We
like
still
actors
are.
have contracts. But I would say, if I was ever going to pick like another really just funny bad movie, is The Room. I don't
No,
think you've
we're
ever
not
seen
talking
it.
about that.
Okay. I would just say anybody who's never seen The Room and you want to see a funny bad movie, it's not a mainstream release, but it's an indie film that I can't describe. It fails at every level of awesomeness.
It
but
shouldn't be described as a movie.
it's
It's like, it's not a movie because it has none of the basics of what an actual movie should have.
yeah, it's writing.
It's like the idea of a movie gone wrong.
It's like as if we decided we have $60,000. What we're gonna do is get an apartment, get people who clearly have never really acted on camera, and just do it ourselves.
You're
I think
tearing me
it's-
apart, Jimmy.
Everyone will get that reference who actually seen
Yes.
that movie, but the ones who don't, you'll have to watch to see it.
We're
But
sorry.
I think we're going to close out the show today, guys. And, Dylan, why don't you tell what's on tap for next week?
Well, we're going to have our extravaganza Christmas special with wacky things like holiday sweaters,
Elves.
elves.
If we have some elves here, that'd be awesome.
Yeah, can we actually get some elves? Like, is that something we can get?
No.
No?
No.
Are they not
Budget?
real?
I really think that'd just kind of be rude.
But just like kidnap some elves and just show them in the back. These are our elves.
You've already dug that hole a little too deep. Why don't we stop there? But we will see you guys in about 2 weeks for our Christmas special.
Have a happy Thanksgiving.
Happy